All right. So continue with that, Martin.
Um, can you repeat your video, Dhammarato? I can see you.
All right. Did that do it?
Okay. Yes.
Okay. So we've been talking about concentration for a minute or two. So continue on with that.
Yeah. So I was saying that I was these last months I was trying to do this concentration practice to see by myself if it was of value or not. And what I was seeing is that it's not um, very useful. I think sometimes it's not useful unless I find sometimes it's good when I have a sharp pain to be able to concentrate on something and forget the pain. But otherwise, it's I I don't I think I don't see how you can learn really something when you are so much concentrated on something. And I think you're right, it can
Right.
be done because sometimes I was so concentrated that sometimes when I woke up, I I wasn't very aware of my surrounding, and there was a stair and I almost walk on my rabbit. I have a bunny. So
Great.
no.
Okay. All right. Well, I assume, based upon a lot of evidence, that um, the word concentration that is so common in Western Buddhism is actually based upon a bad translation of
Yeah.
the word samadhi.
Yes.
That the word samadhi actually, in some cases, translates to be exactly the opposite of concentration. That the word samadhi, what it actually means in the suttas, it's actually, to be honest with you, because it was so common a word in the Pali language, we don't find often an actual definition of the word samadhi in the Pali. But we do have a lot of evidence, including Naropa and some of the later writings, where they're trying to describe the Dhamma to people who were speaking in other languages. And there you'll find actual definitions or descriptions of it. And that the actual definition or description of it in the Pali, but not part of the suttas, it's in later literature, it says is that samadhi is like a yurt. Now, the yurt is a tent that's used still in Mongolia, exactly. And that it's got a ridge pole in the middle, and at the top of that pole is where all of the other side poles are tied. This is also similar to a teepee or wigwam or the kind of thing that was used in American housing for the American, let us say, Native Americans before the white people came. And that wigwam or teepee is got a lot of ridge poles, but they're tied together at the top to support one another. That you can have those poles just laying against each other and the teepee is going to fall apart. They have to be structurally tied together, and then they will support each other. Now, there's two places where we can use this word samadhi. One of them is in the Eightfold Noble Path, where the Buddha actually makes sure to talk about it in the sense of a unified mind. Okay, when the mind is collected together. So let's talk about a unified mind for just a second. And that is that we can define a unified mind by talking about a not unified mind. So a not unified mind could have doubt. Is it this? Is it that? We're all over the place. Another usage of it would be that we are lying, that we don't like the truth, that we're divided with the truth. But when the mind is unified, that means that it's structurally sound, it's based in the truth, there's no doubt about it. Okay, so
Yes.
these are two ways of looking at the unified mind. Another way of using the unification of the word samati is in the sense of the jhana, or bringing the jhana factors together. And what are the
Okay.
factors? One would be the removal of the hindrances. Number two, to have the kind of talking and language that brings upon a state of sukha, a state of well-being, so that we
Yes.
feel safe, secure, comfortable, relaxed, uh, satisfied. And also with that, if we keep doing that over and over again, then that will bring a point of confidence to where we know that we can bring the mind and the body back into a state of sukha. And then we apply that and sustain it. Applied, sustained, piti, the sense of I've got this, sukha, the sense of well being, and freedom from the hindrances. When we bring all of those things together in samadhi, that's the first jhana. And this is why it's called that. Also, samatha, samati, in that regard, are used together. Now, let's look at the word concentration. There's various ways of using the word concentration, and that's not it. One example that I use is frozen concentrated orange juice. Why do they concentrate it? Is to get the water out of it to make it easier to transport. But once you bring that frozen concentrated orange juice home and put it into a glass, you don't drink it like that. You want to make it actually no longer concentrated. You want to add the missing ingredient, water, back to it. So
Right.
you drink it as samadhi, but you transport it as concentration.
And I
All
was
right.
really trying that.
All right. So let's find another word or another way of looking at the word concentrate is that when we tell the kids to concentrate on their homework, what that means is that they need to pay attention to it and keep doing that. Or the way to talk about it is to repeat it. Once you do example one, now you need to repeat and do example two. And now you need to repeat and do example three. So concentration has the quality of staying on something, like concentrating on staying on the beat. Can you hear my hand going dum, dum,
Yeah.
dum, 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 dum? Okay, I'm going to change it a little bit, and I'm on the second beat. I'm going to put a triplet. Dum, da 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 dum, da 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 dum, da
That's
da
the
da dum.
bolero.
Yeah, this is bolero. And now on the third beat, we're going to actually occasionally put three triplets. So it goes dum, da 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 dum, da 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 dum, da 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 dum, da da da
Yeah.
dum, da 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 dum, da 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 dum. Okay, so in order for that song to finish, the snare drummer who is giving that beat has to concentrate on doing that beat. But really, he's not concentrating. What he's doing is he's just repeating that same beat over and over and over and over and over again until the end of the piece.
Okay.
But we can use the word concentration like that if we're wanting to use the word concentration in
Yeah.
meditation. What that means is paying attention to this thought, pay attention to this breath, pay attention to this feeling, pay attention to this thought, pay attention to this breath, pay attention to this feeling, etc., over and over and over and over and over again.
Yes, of course.
Rinse and repeat and rinse and repeat. However, most meditators use the wrong definition of the word concentration
Yes.
and look like it in the sense of, um, here's an example. The young man is coding. He's sitting at his laptop computer writing PHP or C code or something like that, and his dad comes into the room and says good night. And the kid doesn't pay attention to his dad at all. He ignores his dad. He doesn't really ignore him, he's just concentrating on the code. His dad gets angry at him and slams the door. Or maybe his mom comes into the room and he's concentrating on his code and she wants to wake him up. She wants to say goodnight to him, and he won't pay attention to her, and she slaps him in the back of the head. Okay? So, another example of that would be the meditator who is sitting concentrating, and a snake like a cobra or a rattlesnake comes right up in front of them, looks them over, and then bites them. And while the snake is biting, the guy doesn't move at all because he's too busy doing what he would think of as concentration.
And yeah.
Now, I'll give you another story to emphasize this. This kid that we were talking about that's concentrating on his code, that is, let's say that he's 18 or 20 or something like that. Let's go back to a time when he was 6 or 7 years old and he still is on his computer. But he knows his dad and his mom want him to go to sleep, and it's past his sleep time or past his bedtime. So the kid's there working on the computer, and he hears his dad come down the hall. He immediately turns the monitor off, jumps into bed by the time that they get to the door and open the door, and it looks like that he's asleep. Okay? So in one case, the first case, an older child who is concentrating, he's not paying attention to reality because he's too busy concentrating on his code.
It's exclusive.
But at the younger age, he was awake. He was wise. He was able to hear his folks coming down the hallway, and that was enough for him to jump. Okay? That would be more of a samati mind. To be able to see what something's coming, and the guy who is writing the code at a later age, he's the one in concentration. So that'll give you the distinction between what is concentration and what is samati. So what we're actually practicing now for anapanasati is we're not practicing concentration. We're not practicing getting so stuck in something that we're missing everything else. That in fact we're going to be awake and aware for everything that happens so that we can deal with it wisely and happily.
And you know, the thing with concentration is that it's I was when I was trying it, I was very in a bad mood if someone was disturbing me, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I think of that as a disturbance. But when I'm doing what we do together, when someone disturb me, it's not a disturbance. It's
not a disturbance, right? The concentration is a disturbance because it pulls you off of what you want to do.
So
but if you're just sitting there ready for anything, then when that happens, it's not a disturbance. Yeah. It's, hi, how you doing? Glad to see you.
Yes, and when I was doing the concentration, I was grumpy because I was, hey, you fucked up my concentration. I'm concentrating. Hey. And I was in more bad mood than before. But to be honest, I am not very good at it. So I think the guys that doing it, they do it for like 10 years before they can do something with it. I don't know. It's too hard.
Let's put it this way. The society that we live in is a grumpy society.
Okay.
That grumpiness is common. And when people get old, they're called like grumpy old men. Now, the grumpiness is already there, but when Western people come into Buddhism and they hear about concentration, they start concentrating, they get even more grumpy, not less.
Okay.
Okay, so this grumpiness is, first off, it's an already developed habit.
Yes.
And so being distracted from your concentration is grumpy, or one gets grumpy because they're already in the habit of being grumpy.
Yes.
That if they're practicing correctly, then they're concentrating on being happy. Even when they're distracted, they can become happy. They don't have to be grumpy. And so in a way, we're actually practicing the wrong thing.
Yes. And that was,
go ahead.
That was the thing that helped me to see it, is that it's dukkha nirodha. And when I was doing the concentration, I was where is where is the end of suffering? Where is the end of dissatisfaction? I'm more dissatisfaction. I'm more in dukkha than before. So it's not worth it for now. It's not worth it for me. I don't want to talk for everybody else, but
I would say that this number one mistake, is the number one problem of why people don't get the real benefit. They don't get the real Dhamma, is because they're full of desire. They're wanting things. They're wanting jhanas. They're wanting sotapan. They're wanting arahat. They're wanting freedom from suffering without even understanding what that means.
yes.
And so here they are concentrating in an unwholesome state, making things even worse.
Okay, I have a question about that, Dhammarato. What is the right attitude? Oh, you are froze. Okay, it's good. When you change a unwholesome thought to a wholesome thought, okay? How do you do it without wanting the unwholesome thought to go away? How do you do it? What is the right attitude to not be in aversion?
All right. The answer to that is that when the aversion comes, or when the thoughts, the unwholesome thoughts, we can say, and the Buddha actually used this term. This is the one from the Buddha. This is how he practiced. He would say, aha, I see you, Myra.
Oh, okay.
Aha,
Yes.
I can see that unwholesome thought, and I'm very happy that I can see it, as opposed to being disappointed that it's there.
Right.
That we
Okay.
were disappointed when it was there all along. That's our old habits. That's the way that we've been concentrating on it. And now we're going to make a change so that I can see it and be happy that I can see it, rather than being disappointed because it's there. Be happy we can see it. Aha, I see you. Aha, I can see you, Mr. Wart. Aha, I can see you, Mr. Ouch. Aha, I can see you, Mr. Grumpy. Because if we can see it, then we have a chance, a choice to change it.
Yes.
But if we're concentrating on it, we've got no choice. We're just concentrating on it. Now, you mentioned a point a while back, in the sense of because you've got a particular pain, you decide that you want to concentrate on something else so that
Yes.
you can deal with the pain better. That's a typical way that people do it, because they've heard of the word concentration and they're practicing Buddhism and all of that. But there's a much, much better way to do it. And that is by intentionally and happily get distracted, getting distracted by something else. Like, for instance, your leg hurts, and instead of concentrating on something else, like the other leg, or looking at the pain or the sensation itself, watching a video will distract you, and the pain is not there. Oh, it doesn't hurt now because I'm being distracted by it, by something else.
Okay.
And if I will stay on that distraction and continue to watch the movie, continue to repeat, I'm in the movie, I'm in the movie, I'm in the movie, all of that time we're not paying attention to the pain in the leg. But if we are there concentrating on something to avoid the pain in the leg, we still keep going back to the pain in the leg.
Yeah.
And we're not happy.
Yes.
We're not happy. So the way to do it is by becoming distracted. Well, one of the things that the Buddha recommends to get distracted on is the breathing. Because it's a very interesting story. This in breath and this out breath, and this breath is different than that breath, and it's kind of got a story to it. We can make it long, and we can make it short, and we can make it easy, etc., like that. And while we're playing with or being distracted from the pain by the breathing, we don't have to deal with the pain. And so being distracted is much better than concentrating on something else.
It's the intention that is different.
Yeah, the happiness. Oh, I don't need to worry about the pain. I've got a movie to watch. Let me watch this movie. I'm having fun here.
Okay. Right.
And so
Thank you.
this is an easy way to look at it is that we don't need this word concentration in our vocabulary at all. But since
No.
it's there, I could just distract from it.
Yes. But you
Okay.
know, it was worth it to try it and to see by myself, because now I have a better understanding of why it is wrong. So when I was sitting, sometime I was in my head saying, oh, maybe I should do that, I should do that, I should concentrate more, maybe I should concentrate more. But now that I really try for a month, um, I can see that now for myself it's not working. So it's I don't know what to say. I'm very bad sometimes. Uh,
Oh no, you're saying it very clearly.
uh,
Very
yeah,
clearly, this would be a good video for those people who were, let us say, practicing the Mahasi method or practicing some sort of
yeah,
concentration meditation, that they're not getting the better benefits out of that practice.
yeah, yes. To
That in
try to,
fact, they're missing a lot of stuff. Another
yes,
example that I would use would be the whack-a-mole. Have you ever seen the whack-a-mole machines? They have them in arcades or the lobbies of uh, not restaurants, but grocery stores and places like that. Okay,
in video,
so
yes,
the young kid is learning to play whack-a-mole, and he's decided that he's going to concentrate on one of the holes, so that every time that mole comes up out of that hole, he's going to hit it every time. He's concentrating on it, but he's missing all of the other 15. If we concentrate too focused on the example is this whack-a-mole machine, he's going to only get a few of them. His percentage is going to be very low. No, you've got to expand your awareness so that you're ready for that one up there and this one over here and that one over there and this one over here, and you can get them because you're watching what's going on. No concentration necessary, but the repetitive kind of concentration is needed to keep sitting. Hit this one and then hit that one and then hit this one and then hit that one and stay on it, to
yes,
keep doing it. That's the only use of the word concentration, and it would be much better to use the word repetition rather than concentration. Because
yes,
concentration means to take a whole bunch of stuff out of it.
yes, an exclusive focus.
Well, I'm glad we got that one straightened out. That was easy to do. So,
Yes.
and so now where do we go?
Oh,
Back into repetition. There's no place
yes,
to go. We just keep coming back and doing it over and over and over again. That in
but
fact, that's a common question that students ask is, well,
yeah,
what do we do next? The answer is don't do something different next. Repeat next.
yes,
Keep coming back to it and coming back to it. There is no place to go. Don't think that, oh, after I've gotten no place to go, what's next? Because that's going someplace else. No, we can come
yeah, of
back to
course.
no place to go. It's a very easy way to look at it is that there is no place to go. There is nothing next. Just repeat. Just
Yes,
keep doing it over and over again. And soon by doing that, we get into now a new habit. And the new habit is awareness, paying attention, and also the new habit is the feeling of success. I
yes.
can do this. I can repeat.
Mm,
Originally, we were talking about bolero and the beat of dum da 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 dum da 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 dum da 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 dum. The full piece of music actually is broken down into, oh, I forgot how many, but I do know that the flute, the oboe, the trombone, and several other instruments will take the lead and repeat the same thing over and over again until the end of the music, where the whole orchestra is playing that thing together. And then they end the piece in a great big da 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 da, and then it stops. Okay. Now, the point is that the snare drummer keeps that beat going. That dum da 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 dum da 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 dum da 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 dum da 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 dum da 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 dum da 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 dum. and he has to keep repeating that over and over and over again. If he
Yes.
stops, the director of the band will stop and say, "What happened? You didn't keep going." Okay, and the keep going is the repetition, the repetition.
Yes.
All right. And many meditators say, "Well, I'm the snare drummer. We're in the middle of Bolero, and now I want to play Beethoven." No, we don't go to Beethoven. We're going to finish this piece. We're going to stay with this one. We're going to repeat and repeat and repeat and repeat and repeat. This is the way of thinking, not concentration, but repetition.
Mm.
That's why I say it several times. I'm doing the same thing. In fact, I've said it. It's 25 minutes into our talk, and I've only said one thing that I could have said in about 1 minute, and I've repeated it 25 times. One topic, repeat and repeat and repeat and repeat and repeat. That's the value of repetition, and
Yes.
that's the value of concentration,
Mm.
is to bring the mind into repeating it, is that it brings great joy. I keep going, I keep doing it, I can do it, I can do it, I can do this, I am the winner here, I can do this, is the feeling that's built up through that repetition.
Yes.
But in the concentration practice, oh, I'm a failure. Oh, I lost it. Oh, I've lost my concentration. Oh, I've got to go get it again. And so concentration is actually based in failure, and repetition is based in success. And you've just proved to yourself that. You took a month to figure it out, huh? It took me about 15 years.
Yeah, but you you helped me a lot. I saw your video, and in fact, the thing was, I have a rule, and my rule was no concentration. You see, so I have to see for myself. It's not a rule. It's just that it doesn't work.
It
But
didn't
it's not
work.
a rule.
Not the way that it's been taught in
Yeah,
Western
of course.
Buddhism.
Yeah, the way I have understand it doesn't work, but the way you talk about it work.
It works. It works. And that's what we're looking for. We're looking for, hey, this works.
Yes.
That feeling of, wow, this stuff does work. The Dhamma is good.
Yes.
Now I know what there is to do. I understand what is and what is not the path. Concentration is not the path. Repetition is the path.
Yeah. Uh, it was really great to feel it for myself, to say, no, concentration is not the path. I was like, oh, okay, now I have no doubt about it. You see?
Mm-hmm. Without a doubt.
Yes.
Loss of the doubt. And now I know that repetition of
Mm.
coming back to the wholesome, coming back to the wholesome, coming back to the wholesome, that gives joy.
Yes.
That gives satisfaction. And eventually that gives success. But concentration always brings us back into, oh, this is hard.
Yes.
And yet the mind can get naturally concentrated.
Oh, yeah.
The, in fact, in the story that we were telling about the kid doing the code on his laptop in the bedroom, he was actually in a natural state of concentration,
Yes.
which means the house could have burned down and he wouldn't have known it. He was too concentrated. That in fact, what a good computer scientist needs to do is the same thing that all mothers do. Mothers are good mothers when they can take care of this distraction happily and then come back and repeat whatever they were doing, washing the dishes, and then they can be distracted happily and then come back later and keep doing it.
Yeah.
If she's concentrating on washing the dishes, then that distraction, like her kids having a fit or maybe dying, and she doesn't want to stop washing the dishes. She wants to concentrating on that. That's why we call it in that way a distraction. But when we have real samadhi, it's not a distraction. It's just part of the show. There it
Yes.
is.
Yes. It's true. Even the word distraction has dukkha in it.
Mm-hmm.
Distraction is something you don't like. So if you look for distraction, or you try to not have distraction, you are in aversion. You
You're
don't
in
want.
aversion. Exactly. Exactly so. That's another way of pointing out that concentration doesn't work as a meditation practice.
Yeah. So I was calling you to say you that concentration doesn't work.
Right. And we spent 30 minutes repeating that same thing over and over and over again, and there's been no concentration here. It's all been just repetition, happy repetition, over and over again. And so now we've got it.
Yes.
Excellent.
I think it's
Thank you for calling about this. This is really great.
Thank you, Dhammarato.
So call again soon and we'll continue. But I'm glad that you've finally gotten concentration out of your system. You recognize it doesn't work.
Yeah, it's liberating.
It is liberating that understanding of, oh, I don't have to be confused. Do I practice repetition or do I practice concentration? You now know that concentration
Yes.
has a disadvantage.
Yes, clearly. Okay, Dhammarato.
All right. Well, we'll see you.
Yes. Thank you, Dhammarato. Bye-bye. Have a great day.
Uh-huh.